Hello, everyone. Today's story is The Emperor's New Clothes by Hans Christian Andersen. I was first introduced to this story when I was in second grade and fell in love with it instantly. Now, let's get to the story. The Emperor's New Clothes by Hans Christian Andersen. Many years ago, there was an emperor so exceedingly fond of new clothes that he spent all his money on being well dressed. He cared nothing about reviewing his soldiers, going to theater, or going for a ride in a carriage, except to show off his new clothes. He had a coat for every hour of the day, and instead of saying, as one might about any other ruler, the king's in council, here they always said, the emperor's in his dressing room. In the great city where he lived, life was always gay. Every day many strangers came in town. From them one day came two swindlers. They let it be known they were weavers, and they said they could weave the most magnificent fabrics imaginable. Not only were their colors and patterns uncommonly fine, but clothes made of cloth had a wonderful way of becoming invisible so that anyone who was unfit of his office or who was unusually stupid. Those would be just the clothes for me, thought the emperor. If I wore them, I would be able to discover which men in my empire are unfit for their post, and I could tell the wise men from the fools. Yes, I certainly must get some of this stuff woven for me right away. He paid the two swindlers a large sum of money and start work at once. Set up two looms and pretended to weave, though there were nothing on the looms. All the finest silk and the purest old thread which they demanded went into their traveling bags, while they worked the empty looms far into the night. I'd like to know how those weavers are getting on with the cloth, the emperor thought, but he felt slightly uncomfortable when he remembered that those who were unfit for their position would not be able to see the fabric. It couldn't have been that he doubted himself, yet he thought he'd rather send someone else to see how things were going. The whole town knew about the cloth's peculiar power, and all were impatient to find out how stupid their neighbors were. I'll send my honest old minister to the weavers, the emperor decided. He'll be the best one to tell me how that material looks, for he's a sensible man and no one does his duty better. So the honest old minister went to the room where the two swindlers sat working away at their empty looms. Heaven help me, he thought as his eyes flew wide open. I can't see anything at all. But he did not say so. Both the swindlers begged him to be so kind and come near to approve the excellent patterns, the beautiful colors. They pointed to the empty looms, and the poor old minister stared as hard as he dared. He couldn't see anything because there was nothing to see. Heaven have mercy, he thought. Can it be that I am a fool? I'd have to never guessed it, and not a soul must know. Am I unfit to be the minister? It would never do to let on that I can't see the cloth. Don't hesitate to tell us what you think of it, said one of the weavers. Oh, it's beautiful. It's enchanting, the old minister peered through his spectacles. Such a wonderful, what? Colors! I'll be sure to tell the emperor how delighted I am with it. We're pleased to hear that, the swindlers said. They proceeded to name all the colors and to explain the intricate patterns. The old minister paid the closest attention so that he could tell it all to the emperor, and so he did. The swindlers at once asked for more money, more silk, and gold thread to get on with the weaving. But it all went into the pockets. Not a thread went into the looms, though they worked at their weavings as hard as ever. The emperor presently sent another trustworthy official to see how the work progressed and how soon it would be ready. The same thing happened to him that had happened to the minister. He looked and he looked, but as there was nothing to see in the looms, he couldn't see anything. Isn't it a beautiful piece of goods? The swindlers asked him as they displayed and described their imaginary pattern. I know I'm not stupid, the man thought. So it must be that I'm unworthy of my good office. That's strange. I mustn't let anyone find it out, though. So he praised the material as he did not see. He declared it was delightful with the beautiful colors and the exquisite pattern. To the emperor, he said, it held me spellbound. All the town was talking of the splendid cloth, and the emperor wanted to see it for himself while it was still in the looms, attended by a band of chosen men, among whom were these two old trusted officials, the ones who had been to the weavers. He set out to see the two swindlers. He found them weaving with might and main, but without a thread in their looms. Magnificent, said the two officials, already duped. Just look, your majesty, what colors, what a design. They pointed to the empty looms, each supposing that the other could see the stuff. What's this? Thought the emperor. I can't see anything. This is terrible. Am I a fool? Am I unfit to be the emperor? What a thing to happen to me, of people. Oh, it's very pretty, he said. It has my highest approval. And he nodded appropriation by the empty loom. Nothing could make him say that he couldn't see anything. His whole retinue stared and stared. One saw no more than another, but they all joined in the emperor and exclaimed, "Oh, it's very pretty!" And they advised him to wear clothes made of his wonderful cloth, especially for the great procession he was soon to lead. Magnificent, excellent, unsurpassed were banded from the words to mouth, and everyone did his best to seem well pleased. The emperor gave each of the swindlers a cross to wear in his buttonhole and the title of Sir Weaver. Before the procession, the swindlers sat up all night and burned more than 6 candles to show how busy they were finishing the emperor's new clothes. They pretended to take the clothes off the loom. They made cuts in the air with huge scissors, and at last they said, "Now the emperor's new clothes are ready for him." The emperor himself came in with his noblest noblemen, and the swindlers were each raised an arm as if they were holding something. They said, "These are the trousers, here's the coat, and this is the mantle," naming each garment. All of them are as light as spiderweb. One would almost think he had nothing on, but that's what makes them so fine. Exactly, said all the noblemen agreed, though they could see nothing, for there was nothing to see. If your imperial majesty will consent to take your clothes off, said the swindlers, we will help you on with your new ones here in front of the long mirror. The emperor undressed, and the swindlers pretended to put his new clothes on him, one garment after another. They took him around the waist and seemed to be fastening something. That was his train as the emperor turned around and round before the looking glass. "How well your majesty's new clothes look! Aren't they becoming?" he heard on all sides. "That pattern, so perfect! Those colors, so suitable! It is a magnificent outfit." Then the minister of public processions announced, "Your majesty, Canopy is waiting outside." "Well, I'm supposed to be ready," the emperor said, and turned again for one last look in the mirror. "It is a remarkable fit, isn't it?" He seemed to regard his costume with the greatest interest. The noblemen who were to carry his train stooped low and reached for the floor as they were picking up his mantle. Then they pretended to lift and hold it high. They didn't dare to admit they had nothing to hold. So off went the emperor in the procession under his splendid canopy. Everyone in the streets and the windows said, "Oh, how fine are the emperor's new clothes! Don't they fit him to perfection? And see his long train." Nobody would confess that he couldn't see anything, or that would prove him either unfit for his position or a fool. No costume the emperor had worn before has ever such a complete success. "But he hasn't got anything on," a little child said. "Did you hear such an innocent prattle?" said his father. And one person whispered to another that the child had said, "He hasn't anything on. Our child says he hasn't anything on." "But he hasn't got anything on," the whole town cried out at last. The emperor shivered, for he suspected they were right, but he thought this procession has got to go on. So he walked proudly than ever, and his nobleman held high the train that wasn't there at all. The end. The next collection today is the poem If by Rudyard Kipling. This is a special reading to Bill and Marva. Your son William is a fine young man. He has taken the admonishments of his youth and made them the regulation of his adulthood. He remembers the words you recited to him as a child, as stated here. And now, if. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it to you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give away to hating, and yet don't look too good, not talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet the triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build 'em up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pinch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which states to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance running, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. For watching. If you have short stories or poems you'd like read on this channel, email me at j.lanews.stories@gmail.com. Click at the bottom left of your screen for a previous episode. Click at the bottom right to subscribe to my channel. And always, please like and share. Until next time, take care.